If you're tired of watching everyone else build their dream life, landing promotions, starting businesses, or simply gaining more freedom, while you're still asking yourself, when is it my turn? This video is for you. Stop scrolling for a moment, because here is the brutal truth no one wants to say out loud. It is rarely about talent or luck. It comes down to one choice. They stopped waiting and they started doing. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. Here's the truth no one tells you about your 30s. It won't be easy. For many, it's a relentless pressure cooker. You hit this decade and suddenly expectations skyrocket. It feels like everyone else has their life figured out. Landing dream promotions, buying homes, starting families, or launching wildly successful businesses. And the comparison? It's brutal. Social media screams overnight success, a highlight reel of perfect wins. But behind those polished posts, people are secretly failing, struggling, and wrestling with deep self-doubt. They just don't show you that part. Honestly, if you're watching this, you probably feel stuck or way behind where you thought you'd be by now, and that's okay. I've been exactly there. Feeling lost, even when you're doing everything right, doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human, navigating a complex world. That inner conflict you're feeling, that deep desire for more, clashing with your reality, that part matters. I was stuck in a 9-to-5 office job at 30, feeling completely drained, just going through the motions every day. It all felt the same. The commute, the fluorescent lights, the endless meetings that went nowhere. I knew deep down this wasn't what I signed up for. I watched the clock, living for the weekends, feeling like I was living someone else's life, trapped by a paycheck. All I craved was freedom, purpose, and genuine control over my time. So, in a moment of desperate courage, I quit. I genuinely thought, okay, this is it. I'm finally free. My life starts now. I dreamed big, building an online store, making my first $10,000, and finally living life on my own terms. I saw the flashy ads, the gurus promising easy success, and I genuinely believed I was next. I even started telling a few close friends about my big plans, convinced I was on the brink of a breakthrough. I bought courses, watched all the how-to videos, and dove headfirst into what I thought was the path to immediate freedom. But here's what no one talks about, the part they conveniently leave out of the highlight reels. I failed hard. I lost $2,000 in just 3 months. That money wasn't just disposable income, it was my savings, my buffer, my hope. Most of it vanished on ads that didn't convert, chasing trends and desperately trying to copy strategies that worked for other people. Every failed attempt felt like a personal punch to the gut. I started questioning everything, my decisions, my skills, even my fundamental worth. Am I just not cut out for this? Was I stupid to leave that steady job? I remember asking myself, staring at my dwindling bank balance, feeling that cold dread settle in. Don't be afraid to fall like I did, because I was once exactly like you, full of hope, then utterly crushed by reality. That failure felt like the absolute end. It felt like I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. But it wasn't the end. It was the brutal, necessary beginning. Those tough months, that raw pain of loss and self-doubt, they taught me more than any online course or motivational book ever could. They taught me discipline, not the sexy kind, but the gritty, show-up-anyway kind. They taught me patience, knowing real growth takes time. And they taught me how to build something real from the ground up, brick by painful brick. It was about facing the brutal facts of my situation, not just clinging to hopeful fantasies. If I had listened to the generic, feel-good motivational advice at that point, the kind that says, just believe, and ignores the hard truth, I'd still be stuck dreaming, or probably back in that soul-crushing 9-to-5. But the pain of failure made me look inward. It forced a moment of profound honesty with myself. If you're still watching, this next part is truly for you. You ever felt like that? That gut-wrenching moment where you question everything, that's exactly where I was. And that's when I finally understood what needed to change. Now, after all that struggle, those hard lessons, the lost $2,000 and the profound self-doubt, here's the brutally honest, counterintuitive truth. I discovered the advice you absolutely will not hear from most gurus flashing their wealth. They'll tell you about loopholes, secret formulas, and overnight riches, but that's a mirage designed to sell you something. It's a fantasy built to keep you consuming, not creating. It keeps you stuck in the cycle of endless searching, always waiting for that one magical tip that changes everything. You don't need a Lambo. You don't need a fancy office. You don't even need a massive following or a viral moment right now. These are the outcomes of success, not the fundamental ingredients. Chasing them too early is like trying to build a roof before you've laid the foundation. What you actually need, the quiet, unsexy bedrock that builds everything real, is discipline. Let's dig into what that really means, because it's not what most people think. It's not about being a robot or denying yourself joy or being born disciplined. It's the daily decision. It's the discipline to show up every single day without fail, even when motivation has completely dried up, when doubt is whispering loudest, and when nobody else is watching. It's the discipline to consistently do the things you said you would do long after the initial excitement wears off. This is the hardest part, because your brain will come up with a million excuses. It will tell you to wait for the perfect time, or more inspiration, or less noise, or when I feel ready. But the truth is, the perfect time doesn't exist. You build it by starting imperfectly right now. You build it through sheer consistency, one small, uncomfortable step at a time. Think about it. Every successful entrepreneur, every athlete at the top of their game, every artist who mastered their craft, they weren't just inspired. Daily inspiration is a fleeting visitor. They drilled, they practiced, they failed. They showed up for the boring repetitions. They cultivated the discipline to embrace failure, learn the lesson, and get right back up. Instead of letting it paralyze them, they understood that the dip, the struggle, the moments of wanting to quit, that's not a sign you're broken. That's part of the process. That's the crucible where true resilience is forged. This is the real secret. Success isn't glamorous. It's incredibly boring. It's the consistent, repetitive, often invisible effort that compounds over months and years. It's doing the internal work, not just the external chasing. It's analyzing your mistakes, adjusting your approach, and then getting back to the grind when you'd rather do anything else. It's building the system, not just chasing the outcome. It's the unwavering commitment to your vision when the immediate reward is nowhere in sight. This is the UN uncomfortable truth that separates the dreamers from the doers. It's about showing up for yourself, even when no one else sees it, and especially when you don't feel like it. That small daily act of showing up when no one is there to applaud. When the results aren't immediately visible, when it feels like nothing is working, that is where the real magic happens. That is the work that compounds over time, transforming tiny actions into massive, undeniable results. It's the ultimate difference between someone who dreams and someone who actually achieves. It's the ultimate freedom, forged not by luck, but by relentless, quiet effort. Now, after understanding that relentless discipline is the true unsexy secret to consistent action, we have to talk about the internal battlefield, your mindset. This isn't some fluffy, motivational cliche or something you can just think positive your way through. It's a foundational reality. Your mindset will truly make or break you. You can have all the discipline in the world, master every strategy, but if your internal narrative is working against you, if you are constantly fighting yourself, you are building your future on quicksand. To genuinely build wealth, freedom, and the kind of life you dream about, the life you see others living and wonder, Why not me? Now you have to actively reprogram your brain by stopping the lies you tell yourself. These aren't deliberate, conscious falsehoods you invent. They are insidious whispers, deep-seated beliefs programmed into you over years by society, past failures, fear, and what you think others expect of you. They keep you small, safe, and stuck. Here are some of the most common ones that cripple ambition. And you've probably heard them whispering in your own mind, "I need to be lucky." This lie is a trap. It convinces you that success is some random lottery ticket, a twist of fate, not the result of consistent effort and calculated risk. It lets you off the hook. It makes you wait for an external force to save you, instead of empowering you to build your own fortune, brick by brick, through dedication and hard work. You might be waiting forever for luck to strike, while others are out there creating their own. I'm not smart enough. This lie is a killer. It tells you brilliance is a prerequisite for starting. Instead of realizing that skill, expertise, and ingenuity come from relentless learning, brutal failure, and showing up even when you feel clueless, this lie stops you before you begin, making you underestimate your own potential. I'll start when the timing is perfect. This is perhaps the most dangerous lie of all. It's the ultimate procrastination tool, a comfortable excuse you convince yourself you need less noise, more inspiration, more money, better connections, or simply to feel ready. The harsh truth, the perfect time doesn't exist. It never has, and it never will. You don't find the perfect time you created by starting imperfectly right now. You build it through consistent action, one small, uncomfortable step at a time, embracing the messy beginning. This mental shift from passively waiting for luck or perfection to actively imperfectly doing is the hinge. Everything else swings on. It's about taking ownership of your internal dialogue, recognizing these sabotaging whispers the moment they arise, and countering them with truth and immediate action. No matter how imperfect, until you win this internal battle, the external battle for your dreams will always feel insurmountable. This isn't just about changing what you think, it asks about changing how you act based on what you truly believe. So you've heard the hard truths, you've faced your own lies, and you are still here. That tells me one thing: you are not done. You are ready to move to act, and you are asking, what now? I'll tell you what worked when I hit rock bottom. These aren't theories, they're the actual practical moves that helped me rebuild from zero. No fluff, no fantasy, just real traction. First, stop consuming. Start creating. You already know this one, you just haven't acted on it. If you're spending hours watching success stories, motivational reels, or endless tutorials, thinking it's productive, I've been there. I thought I was learning too, but in reality, I was hiding. The game changed. When I created something, anything, a small project, a service, a video, it was messy, imperfect, but it was mine. When you shift from consumer to creator, you stop waiting for permission and start building power. Don't worry about likes or polish, just ship. The world doesn't need more content zombies. It needs people who build second, set one small goal, and go to war for it. I know it's tempting to chase 10 things at once, but scattered energy leads nowhere. After I lost $2,000 trying to start multiple things, I got real. I chose one target, validate one idea, serve one audience, build one win, and I chased it like it was life or death. That's what changed everything. Not being busy, being clear. Pick your one goal. It could be your first $100 sale, your first client, or your first real piece of content. Then show up for it every day. Say no to distractions. No to multitasking. That kind of focus creates momentum most people never touch. Third, fail forward and fast. Failure isn't personal, it's inevitable. It's data. That $2,000 loss, it sucked, but it taught me more than any course ever could. It showed me where my ego led, where I skipped steps, and what to never do again. That lesson was worth way more than the money I lost. The people you admire, they've all failed big. The only difference, they learned from it, then moved. Failure is your most honest feedback loop. Study it, then adjust every time. And last, forget motivation, build discipline. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a system, and you'll never change your life depending on feelings. Discipline is what got me back up. After the excitement faded, after my first posts flopped, after no one showed up. It's what made me show up. Anyway, set the routines, protect your time. Do the boring stuff, because that quiet daily commitment, that's what actually compounds. That's how you break through. Not once, but over and over again. You don't need more inspiration. You need movement. Start now, stay with it, and don't stop. If right now you're sitting there feeling behind, like the world moved ahead and you missed the train, like others found some secret shortcut while you're still stuck, I need you to hear this clearly. You're not late. You're just early to your future. We live in a world full of noise, online success stories, viral wins, million-dollar launches, but most of that, it's just the highlight reel, a carefully edited illusion. It's not the truth. The truth, real growth is slow, real success is messy, and no matter where you live, London, Lagos, Mumbai, Manila, or New York, this part is universal. Every person who built something meaningful once felt like you do. They felt stuck, they felt lost, they doubted their skills, their timing, even their worth. They failed, many times, quietly, without applause. But here's the difference. They acted anyway. They didn't wait to feel ready. They didn't wait for the fear to disappear. They took one small step, then another. They showed up consistently, not just when they were motivated, but especially when they weren't. Because motivation fades, but discipline builds futures. They embraced the boring, repetitive work. They chose progress over perfection. They stopped consuming and started creating, publishing, testing, learning, building. They made their own way. And you can too. That feeling inside you, that deep frustration, that hunger for more, that urge to break free, that's not weakness. That's your starting gun. That's the signal that you're ready. So forget the illusion of overnight. Forget the perfect timing. Forget comparing your life to someone's filtered success story. Your path is your own, and it starts now with messy action, quiet effort, and relentless discipline. So if today feels heavy, if the progress feels invisible, the wins feel too small to matter, just know this: progress doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, keep going, and that's enough. You don't have to move mountains overnight. You just have to move something, even if it's 1 inch forward. Your pace doesn't matter as much as your persistence, because the truth is, most people give up way too soon. But you're not most people. You're still here, still trying, still reaching. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, whether you're in a small apartment in Tokyo, a busy cafe in Nairobi, or your bedroom in Berlin, if you're still standing after everything, that means you're not finished. You're just getting started. So take the step. The world hasn't seen what you're capable of yet. If you're in your 20s, 30s, stuck, starting over, or just trying to figure it all out, listen closely. Success isn't about shortcuts. It's about clarity, resilience, and execution. The truth is, no one's coming to save you. But the tools, the strategies, and the mindset, that part, we've got you covered. At the Business Vault, we're not selling fantasies. We're building futures, raw, unfiltered, and global. So if you're done with surface-level advice and ready to build something that actually lasts, follow for more real talk. Watch the full video if this hit home. Drop a comment if it spoke to you, and tag someone who needs to hear this. Whether you're stuck or just getting started, this is where we level up together. We drop real stories, real strategy, and the mindset it takes to win. Long-term, stay inspired, stay curious, and whatever you do, keep building.